Clauses in contracts seem to be the buzz in the sports world. I'm now joined by Karina Mustafa and Noor Zainab, who are contractually obligated to sit on this couch, even if they don't want to. This is Attack Defend, so a couple of contracts, big extensions happened in the sports world. I want to get this right. So Zion Williamson of the Pelicans has signed a max extension, and there's a weight clause. So the contract stipulates Williamson will have a periodic weigh-ins where throughout the entirety of his new deal, his weight and body fat percentage must be below 295 or he could forfeit some money. In the NFL, Kyler Murray of the Arizona Cardinals, he signed a big extension, $230 million, that included a stipulation requiring the QB to complete at least 4 hours of independent study during game weeks. I'm not sure who looks more embarrassing there, the Cardinals or him, but that's for another discussion. This is Attack Defend, and here's the statement, ladies. Organizations are right to insert these clauses into players' contracts. Attack.
Well, I think that they're not right. It's a really tricky conversation because once you get into weight with Zion Williamson, for example, that's when I start to get a little bit uncomfortable because it's like, what does it mean to be overweight really? Because you can also have big players that are big and are overweight per se in terms of like body mass index, but they are fit. So it's like, where do you cross that line? Are you doing it for everybody? Because it also invites very toxic discourse surrounding body weight and athletes and everything like that. So I don't know. It seems like there's a fine line. You kind of have to establish that before you come up with this for specific players.
I think it's very easy. You give it to someone who's not working out as much as they should be, right? Because if you're an NBA player, if you're an athlete in general, you know that there's something on the line for you to go out there and play to the best of your abilities. And if this certain player is not, if he's completely, if he hasn't met up to his standard, if he hasn't been the rookie of the year that we thought he was going to be, if he hasn't lived up to his max contract so far, I think it's fine to put into his clause that, hey, you can get all this money that you want to. You're inclined to this, but you better adhere to our standards of what we think is representable on the court. And at that point, because he hasn't been to that level, I think that's allowed.
But how do you decide that for each player?
Well, hold on. Back to Zion. Let's not forget, this is a guy who played 85 games through 3 seasons.
Yeah.
Injury prone. And he's been over 300 pounds multiple times. And for the Pelicans, this is an investment. Right? It's hard to look at it that way, but it's a business is what it is. So inserting this clause is somewhat you're trying to protect your investment, right?
Mm-hmm. It's true for sure, but it's like looking at Zion because we also have to remember that athletes are human. Imagine being the only player on the team who has this clause in his contract.
But
like,
he's also the only player that's been over 300 pounds multiple times.
That's true, but at the same time, I feel like I'm in the position where if you're going to have a requirement for players, you need to have it for everybody. Like, right. It needs to be a standard that you have. And obviously, it varies based on, like, what position you're playing as well. But you need to have that rule for everybody. You can't just be singling out. Even with Kyler Murray, I'm like, I'm not into the NFL that much. But imagine being singled out as the only guy who doesn't watch film on your team. Like, that should be a team standard.
But I think that's embarrassing for the player themselves to be like, hey, someone had to put that clause in the contract for you to be like, mind doing some tapes? Mind having a little bit of exercise after the gym today? What's mind doing a job? So it's almost as if like when we're coming to Parleh to work up here every single day, if someone out there is better equipped for my job, why am I sitting here taking up this space? So I'm like, if Zion will be in that position where he is demanding so much money, but he's not giving the Pelicans anything. He hasn't given them like what, 85 games in 3 years? That's
pretty good
nothing.
Summer League season at one point, right?
Well, yeah, I think he sat like 3 games after that. So it was pretty much absolutely nothing. And at that point, you have to think to yourself, is he holding up that franchise? Are they giving him money that should not be distributed that way? Could they offer that to somebody else who could be role players to really get that franchise moving? Because they've wasted 3 years on this guy already. And if he hasn't picked up or self-reflected to be like, hey, all right, I am this dude. I was the #1 pick. I am supposed to be to this level. I earned this much money and I demand this much more. Maybe I should convert that on the court as well. Maybe we should have 1 or 2 more wins, for the Pelicans next year.
And they clearly do believe in him still.
Absolutely.
If you're giving him this money, it's like, listen, we believe in you, but you got to lose some weight, right? You got to do your job. I hear what you're saying.
I agree with that too, Karina.
Noor brought the heat today. I got to go. Noor is the champion today. Zion, lose some weight, buddy. You're a very good player. And Kyler Murray, watch some tape. What are you doing?
Do some homework, bro. Come on. It's homework.
It's homework.